with all these big financial geniuses, nobody ever, there is a chance that the money from tariffs could be so great that it would replace, in the old days, about 1870 to 1913, the tariffs were the only form of money. And that's when our nation was relatively the richest. We were the richest.
Let me just agree that what comes back very strongly, and everyone will understand this. These are very fundamental changes in, long held in some cases policies in the United States, and there's not any real experience. I mean, the Smoot-Hawley tariffs were actually not this large, and they were 95 years ago. So there isn't a modern experience of how to think about this. And businesses and households are saying in surveys that they are experiencing incredibly high uncertainty. There's a lot of research, some of it from the Fed, showing that does lead to businesses and households stepping back from decisions, which of course makes common sense. And you hope that that's something that you go through a phase, and then you know what things become more certain, and therefore people can resume normal economic activities given their understanding of what is the new normal. I mean, your question really is, what if the uncertainty remains high? I think that's a difficult environment. I think people's expected rates of return would have to be higher. I think people that would weigh on, to me, investment just in general. If the United States were to become a jurisdiction where risks are just structurally higher going forward, that would make us less attractive as a jurisdiction. We don't know that at this point, but I think that would be the effect.
But no amount of spinning or verbal gymnastics can dispute facts. And it's clear not only is the stock market in turmoil, prices up, inflation up, we are barreling towards a recession because of Trump's policies. And the American people have lost complete confidence in his ability to handle said economy.
It's Trump's net approval rating. Look at this. It's a huge slide in it. In early February, it was plus 6 points. Then you go to late February, plus 2 points. Then you go to March, it's even. And look at this massive jump from late March to now, minus 6 points. That's a 6-point drop in less than a month. And why is that occurring? It is because of the tariff war. The voters are punishing Donald Trump in one of his best polls, which now even that best poll is a negative poll for Donald Trump.
No amount of passing the buck back to Biden is going to regain that trust either. Trump has repeatedly blamed former President Joe Biden for leaving what he believes is a, quote, horrible economic situation. However, according to a new CBS News and YouGov poll, 54% of adults said that Trump's policies are responsible for the state of the economy, while just 21% said it was Biden. And Americans also think the economy is getting worse under Trump, with 53% of respondents saying so.
Of course, Joe Biden was the last president. Donald Trump is the current president. Donald Trump wants to say, don't blame me if you're upset with the state of the economy. Blame the other guy. I don't think Americans are buying what he's selling at this particular point, at least anymore. More responsible for the economic state. They asked about inflation back in March. Look at this. 38% said Joe Biden. 34% said Donald Trump. But look at where we are this month when they asked about the general state of the economy. Look at how much higher the Trump number is. 54%. The Joe Biden percentage drops through the floor at 21%. So this idea that Donald Trump will try to sell to the American public, is trying to sell to the American public, is that it's the other guy. It's not me. It's that other guy, that old guy, Joe Biden. No longer is this being the American public is no longer buying this set of arguments like they were back in March. And of course, what is so important here? We have had the tariff war in the last month. That's what's going on. I believe that a massive shift is occurring because Americans are seeing what's happening on their television screens. They are seeing what's happening in the stock market. They're seeing what's happening in the bond market. One day, Donald Trump says one thing about the tariff war. The next day, he says another thing. One day, one of his advisors says one thing. The next day, that same exact advisor says another thing. And all of a sudden, Americans are picking up on this. And this idea that Donald Trump is trying to sell, that you can blame Joe Biden. Look at this again. This percentage, 54 to 21, a clear majority now are blaming Donald Trump for the state of the economy, not Joe Biden.
And while many like to chalk up these poll results to skewed participants or small sample size or liberal elites, whatever, it's not like Fox News are singing the praises of the economy either, clearly.
But to your point, Americans back the concept of a a more level, fair trading field. But the execution of this, and I wanted to ask Daniel about this, the execution has been a morass. It's been an absolute chaotic mess so far. And the American people really haven't felt the pain of that yet. And is the pain based on talking to CEOs of companies that need these imports? Is the pain layoffs? Because that's what I'm hearing, that people are putting together layoff plans.
Absolutely. I see it. I hear about it. And even as a CEO of a company, we're thinking about it. Right now, we don't know what's going to happen because the game keeps changing, and it's changing in real time. But let me give
Did you ever think when you voted for President Trump that things were going to cost you more and you were going to lose money?
I never thought I was going to lose this much money, this fast.
Jim is a Republican who voted for Donald Trump 3 times.
How do you feel about your vote for Donald Trump now?
Well, I feel like perhaps I should have considered some other options.
So the uncertainty that it exudes from this administration with their on-off again tariffs, offering exemptions to some and none to others, it's clear as day when asked point blank, are we heading towards a recession? And these are the type of answers that the American people are given and expected to swallow.
Effectively implementing tariffs
while also... This won't be painful at all for American people and consumers, Caroline?
It's going to be, there's not going to be any pain for American-owned companies and American workers because their jobs are going to come back home. And again, as for prices, President Trump is working on tax cuts to put more money back into the pockets of Americans. He's working on...
The president was asked and answered this yesterday. He said he's not considering an extension or a delay. I spoke to him before this briefing. That was not his mindset. He expects that these tariffs are going to go into effect. And there will be a 90-day pause on the reciprocal tariffs as these negotiations are ongoing, and the tariff level will be brought down to a universal 10% tariff. Many of you in the media clearly missed the art of the deal. You clearly failed to see what President Trump is doing here.
Can't get enough Midas? Check out the Midas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MidasPlus.com.